Alexios, what are you wearing?
It's my Path of Night hoodie. Got the illuminated manuscript sweatshirt. Art by J. Steele. It's very comfy.
You do look hot, Alexios.
Thank you. And you look great in your War of Ages crest hoodie. Really goes with the fangs.
What can I say? I accessorize well. Lex, you look hot in your classic Path of Night t-shirt, too.
If you want the matches, Path of Night sells these on our bonfire.com/store/path-of-night and use a code WOA10 for 10% off your purchase until April 15th. Unless you're an Elder supporter on our Ko-Fi, in that case, you should find a code to get 15% off at any time.
Path of Night, War of Ages is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade Dark Ages podcast set in the world of darkness. We're all friends, we're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We've talked at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect, we're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised. And so continues the War of Ages.
Last time on War of Ages. The Coterie arrived to Mitru's domain. Their attempts to find shelter there and supplies were met with fear and caution from the townspeople. Saif spoke with Mitru and de-escalated the rise in conflict. Quiet tension bloomed between Mitru and Shirazina. Catrinel's magic warned her of a mysterious arrival. And soon after, Myca Vykos made his presence known. Beautiful man with golden hair and ocean blue eyes draws back his hood and introduces himself. I am Myca Vykos. It is my very good pleasure to meet the group of you. Mitru, what is this that is happening? Mitru very clearly recognizes the visitor and speaks up. A group of Cainites are passing through, headed on their way. But He kind of pauses and looks between the group of you. But welcome to stay a time, if they wish it.
Thank you very much for your invitation. I am looking forward to staying a spell to collect ourselves before we continue on, and perhaps have more conversation. Some of the things that we must discuss would best be spoken about inside, I think.
Yes, I suppose inside would be preferred. He seems kind of like a little put out, kind of realizing that like that is what civilized Cainites do, but he acquiesces, and Myca Vykos sort of just presumes he is a welcome guest and actually leads the way inside, walking past Mitru. And as he does, he sort of looks over his shoulder at the young prince and says to him, "You know, I am to understand that you oppose groups of Cainites intent on bringing civilization east. I can appreciate your understanding of the nuance that exists between our guests here and that of the venture." And he kind of gives a curt nod. "Yes, I understand." And Myca says, "Good." And walks on inside as he kind of takes his cloak off. Again, he is of an immaculate form, beautiful in ways that are traditional sorts of beauty, but beyond the scope of human capability. He walks with an inhuman grace. Subtly, his skin is unmarred, not a freckle, nothing out of place. It is as though he is designed to be gorgeous. Mitru turns to you, and he is not handsome like Vykos is. His wolf's eyes are a little too large, his brow a little too furrowed, his facial hair unkempt, his hair sort of wild, and just looking at him you can see the little twigs and broken pieces of leaves that are kind of caught in it. There is a clear wildness to him, but between the two, somehow, Mitru, with his pointed ears and monstrous countenance, is far more human. And the group of you head on in.
Roland hops down off of Violentue, keeping a steadying hand sort of on the small of Catrinel's back as he does so, and then extends his other hand down as an offer to sort of gracefully help her step down from the too tall steed.
Catrinel brings her focus back to the forefront and, seeing the hand in front of her, gives Roland that sharp-toothed grin of hers, tilting her head, watching the interactions of these two seemingly powerful, seemingly important Cainites before her. But her eyes go back to Roland and she says, "Thank you.
D'accord.
Very kind of you to guide the blind."
Not so blind, I think. But, happy for the opportunity all the same.
Well, the blind always see. And she gets helped down. Once she's on the ground, she looks to Sherazina, setting her hair straight. "It seems that we might have matters to discuss. We already did, but you have some connection to Mitru.
I do, yes.
And we have yet to talk about why you're here in the first place, which is something that I've meant to do for quite a while."
I can tell you that Mitru can be trusted. He's a good man. And she kind of gives this, like, almost pitying look his way.
Well, I am glad to hear it. Perhaps we'll spend more time getting to know him.
I don't know that I should stay here.
Is there a reason?
Forgive me, Lady Catrinel, but I was unkind to him during my stay. And you note, she calls him Mitru, not Prince Mitru.
You say he is a good man.
Yes.
Was he unkind to you?
No.
And did he deserve the unkindness you gave him?
He did not.
Then I would hope you intend to apologize, or at least mess with him more, whichever strikes your fancy.
I do not wish to hurt him further.
And it sounds like you wish something else.
To be away from him.
Why?
She, hesitates, but settles on a single word ultimately, and says, shame.
I would not have you bind yourself with something as petty as shame. I would have you not be ashamed. What would that take?
To forget him and the trouble I caused.
I suppose that is one option. I don't believe that it's necessarily the only option, but...
It is what comes to mind for me. Forgive my cowardice.
Roland, standing nearby, having helped Catrinel off of the horse, will look between the two women and his eyes will settle on Sherazina. In my experience, forgiveness, whether of the other person or the self, can be a salve to even the deepest shame. And if he is as good a man as you say, forgiveness will come to him naturally. And then he will just sort of walk over to a nearby post and tie off Violentia.
If you think yourself safe, that is what is important. You need not join us inside if you don't wish. But you are welcome if you do.
She considers, eyes glancing a moment towards Roland, and with a small, unconfident nod, she says, I will join you inside.
Understood. And Catrinel will walk with her inside, making sure to keep her fellow boss Rob by her so that she's never quite alone and facing the room.
Roland, aware of the presence of a nervous woman, walks just a few steps behind.
Sadhbh went inside early when the doors were opened. And with each clunk of her staff, is more and more keenly aware of the perfection of Myca Vykos and the imperfection of herself. And it's never been a thing that she's ashamed of. But now she's uncomfortably aware of how she hobbles. And she tries to soften the thump of her staff as she finds a place to stand.
Zorion came in alongside Sadhbh and takes regard of the inside of the inn. Are there perhaps a large table where there are enough seats to gather for all of us?
There isn't actually a ton of furniture inside, but you do find what is sort of a long table that is arranged in the middle, and then just very small tables kind of sprinkled here and there beyond it. There's enough for those gathered, but you can definitely tell, compared to like other inns you've attended, even traveling in this region, this is a bit sparse. It's very simple here.
Well, he makes sure to find at least a seat for himself and Sadhbh. The rest of them have working legs. The two of us are sitting.
Sadhbh will follow Zorion's lead.
Alexios will bring up the rear, just checking around, seeing if anything else is going to join in on this little parade, and file in to see what's going on with our new arrival.
Zorion will kind of motion for Alexios or Amun to come near.
Yeah, he'll come on over, kind of jauntily.
Have you noticed anything out of place here?
Nothing so far. It's a little sparse and definitely ready for war of some sort.
Between yourself and Catrinel, I think the two of you have the sharpest eyes amongst us. Let me know if there's anything coming that we are not aware of.
I'll do my best.
Thank you, my friend.
As they're talking, Sadhbh is trying not to stare at Myca Vykos. but she keeps finding her eyes drawn to the uncanny perfection of him. Her eyes are wide and blue, and she's trying not to be weird about it, but she's weird about it, and nervously just sort of drums on her bowron at her hip.
The silks he wears under the cloak do very little to conceal the perfect structure of the dancer's body's muscles. And you kind of notice that he kind of plays with his clothes, and you find yourself drawn in. And that's when you kind of realize that he is looking directly at you and is sort of making a game out of the way he can direct your eyes.
Once she recognizes that it's a game, there's this little smirk that comes into the corner of her mouth, and her cheeks rise very round and playful, and her eyes widen a little bit at him, sort of like challenging him to keep going.
Roland, you arrived just in time.
Roland is, maybe from Saiv's perspective, suddenly standing right behind her and puts a hand on the back of her chair just as a I'm here reassurance motion that, given the current game, may be a little more startling than normal.
She does startle a bit. She was a little focused, but Roland had been a little distant over the past couple days. And she looks up at him and, almost with relief, gives him a smile. A very genuine, I'm glad to see you sort of smile.
Looking up at him, that lost in thought sullenness that she's seen him get a few times when, like, he's mulling something over in his mind is still there. But pretty clearly the motion to be like, hey, we are somewhere, you are safe, I am here, is what the hand on the chair was all about. And once he knows that she's seen him, he goes to take a step back, and then his eyes pulled across the table to where Myca Vykos is, making eyes at Saiv, and he doesn't step backwards at all. And then we'll look at Mitru, actually. My prince, thank you for your hospitality in this city. I understand that you have reservations. Would it be an acceptable courtesy to you? I am quite willing to tie my blades while in your walls.
He kind of gives like a slightly bewildered look at the concept, but sort of nods and raises a hand. No, these lands are dangerous enough. I see no reason for someone to put themselves at a disadvantage should they need to survive.
As you wish, my prince. And he gives an appreciating nod.
You'll have to forgive my companion Roland. He is from France, where things are perhaps a bit more stable than here. They have interesting rules about their blades and what. He kind of casts a sideways glance at Roland.
I apologize, Roland. I am not a man accustomed to the civility you must know from France. And I do not wish to seem as a poor host.
This is your domain, my prince. We are to abide by the rules of your etiquette, not mine, which is why I ask.
And you have neighbors with Ventrue and Tremere. You are naturally on very high guard. We do not take any offense. Your hospitality has been more than enough.
The arrival of the Eastern Lord stokes a fire that I do not believe they understand. Not long ago, what villages and cities here were the lands of nomads. My sire, Arnulf, he remembers those nights. Their simplicity. With his followers, among whom I once counted myself. It is his intention to rid these lands of the sickness of civility, of communities, of these festering cities. He looks ashamed. And there is much of me that agrees with his desire to do so.
Catrinel takes off the veil that she was wearing as she drapes an arm over Zorion's chairback. And she looks at Mitru. And what part of you disagrees? What changed your mind?
If you would ask Arnulf, it is my youth. But I cannot abide the slaughter he brings with his solution. And somehow, in my attempt to just preserve what life I can, I have found myself here, protecting the very thing I disdain so much. I think it is kind that you would call me Prince, or acknowledge my domain, but this place is my prison.
There are 6 other princes in the Council of Ashes that see you as such as well.
They see me as a resource to cultivate, an ally against Arnulf and what forces would undo the power that they have erected. And so long as I remain their ally, so long as I allow Cainites to pass through as they travel, the more their world, or what they want it to be, becomes the world I live in. And my sire is given more and more reason for his contempt that he holds for me.
Would you prefer it that I simply call you Mitru?
Yes.
So be it.
Before I was Prince Mitru, I was simply Mitru the Hunter.
Then I shall honor you as such. The term is simply that. It is an honorific. But I think you struck at the heart of it. It is a position of power that tries to cultivate other positions of power, allies. It is all it is. Do you have an alternative?
To my conflict.
To being allies with the Council of Ashes. I suppose the only alternative I see is for you to be alone, with enemies on all sides.
The Council of Ashes.
Is dysfunctional, I know.
Yes, but not without resource. And if I am to hold Arnulf at bay, I need allies in order to do it. Resources, means of preparing the city for his eventual return.
And when he does return, does he seek your destruction or something worse?
I do not know, and would not blame him if he did. His coalition of my clan, the Gangrel, is meant to rid this region of those who would develop cities upon it. I have betrayed his trust for the sake of strangers.
I don't think that's true. I think you've stayed true to yourself, in spite of others.
Arnulf's path is one that is paved with the blood of others, and is not one that will ever come to fruition. It is just his pride.
I'm not so naive to believe the Council of Ashes has no blood on their hands. I do not believe that there is a moral choice between them.
Before we talk more about the goings-on of this area, who is this handsome stranger that has joined us? You said your name was Myca Vykos?
Yes, I am Myca Vykos.
Is he something of a seneschal to you, Mitru?
Mitru kind of like, when you kind of make off, Mitru kind of gives you like a look like, don't do that. And Myca laughs and raises a hand. The Court of Shadows, they strut in unique ways.
Zorion smiles at that.
I am an agent of Constantinople.
He bows his head graciously.
I have come this way, passing through, headed to visit an ally within my clan, the Zemisi, a Radu, the Prince of Beastries. He and I have some negotiations to resolve, but while on my way, I thought I might stop and pay a visit to dear Mitru and see how his journey unfolds. My dear friend is brave, and the mortals of this city quietly revere him as something of a folk hero. But if he is to withstand Arnulf, he is going to need weapons, resources. Hope will not keep them alive much longer, valuable as it has been.
It sounds then that you would need trade routes, organization, things to funnel in all the little necessities.
Yes, I quite agree, actually. Prince Mitru, if you are to defeat Arnulf, a civilization must expand. I put you in a difficult position, I understand.
Lex, who is the Prince of Constantinople?
Constantinople is a major city in the world of darkness during this time, not just in like real world, but specifically for, Cainite history. Give me an intelligence politics roll, difficulty 5.
Can I also make this?
Yes, absolutely.
2 successes.
1 success.
You both know that the Prince of Constantinople is a being that defies understanding in terms of the Cainite race. They are the Patriarch Michael. And you know the way they look. And I'm going to give a quick description from his write-up, right? Michael appeared in the guise of a stained glass angel. Light shined through his form. His face was unchanging with calm benevolence. Emotions played off the shimmer of his halo, and his winged body sparkled. Above all, his presence demanded immediate supplication. That is the kind of figure that rules over the city of Constantinople. And Myca Vykos is an agent of Constantinople, and therefore a supplicant of the Patriarch Michael.
So, Myca, you say you are from Constantinople, and you must serve the Patriarch Michael.
Indeed, all of Constantinople serve at the whims and the will of glorious Michael. We love him. But duty calls me away from Constantinople for a time. In this case, I thought I might take a moment from my journey to Beastries to see to Mitru. Mitru, how are you? What do you need? Does Arnulf threaten your lands again? And he sort of shakes his head. Food. Winter is at its end, so the people will survive. And there's enough here now to keep the horde off of us. For now. With these growing complications among the Council of Ashes, who knows what the future holds. But for now, we're resolute. While this is going on, Diego begins to make his way to Catrinel, walking kind of unobtrusively to avoid disrupting conversation being held by Cainites. And as he approaches Catrinel, he sort of kind of pats at his belt and notices something is not there and sort of slinks away to investigate into where it is that the gold he was in possession of has disappeared to. And sort of from the opposite angle, Dario reveals himself to Catrinel and says, "My lady, the gold is arranged and ready for any of the purchases that we need to make. But we await your direction.
Catrinel had sensed a bit of movement, not that she necessarily saw what was going on, but just that awareness you keep of people moving in a room, and flipped her hair out a bit just to look to the next person coming up to her, and what happens to be Dario. She lifts an eyebrow at him. It's not exactly the face that she was expecting to see, but she's not opposed. And she offers him a slight smile, exposing a fang tip. Certainly we all understand. Supplies can make or break us. Our people, ourselves as Cainites. It's part of why we wanted to stay here. If you don't mind, I would like to make those arrangements. And she is looking to Mitru as she says this.
It's not that he's not clever. It is that the undertones and you sort of speaking to Dario, but kind of like shifting a little towards him, he does not seem to register that. And he just kind of looks your way and goes, "Pardon?"
Mitru, we were hoping to take this moment in your city to gain food, rest, all those things, and it does sound that you seek to handle those things for your people well. Perhaps, as we've had our rude entrance, if we are able to help you in that way, that could be a sign of better alliance. And she looks to Zorion as she says that. I happen to think that I have some talent when it comes to organizing that sort of thing. Right now, I would seek to do it for our party. To find us victuals and all of those practicalities, but I think in the future, if you're lacking, and we are allies close by you, at a trade route.
Catrinel speaks the truth. She has quite the talent for organizing these sort of things. My wagon train moved much more efficiently after she joined us in Pesht. And she brings up a good point. It sounds like the winters here are harsh, and since you are not willing to gain support from Hungary or Austria and Vienna, looking south to Constantinople is the natural answer. Perhaps we could also discuss a mutually beneficial situation where once we have established ourselves in Tehuta Pass, we may be able to extend these lines from Constantinople to our domain.
And we would be as allies.
Indeed.
Also, not for nothing, but it seems like you grow an awful lot of garlic here. That's not good for your soil. You're not going to be able to grow much of your own crops if you grow too much garlic. I have some seeds for some new things you could grow, though, if you'd like them.
They turn towards garlic as the result of Arnulf. Fear of the things that hunt at night.
To be clear, if there were no Cainites in this area, would Arnulf stop his crusade, or would he purge the land of these people regardless?
It is not Cainites and their existence that offends Arnulf.
It is simply stacking stone upon stone?
Yes.
Does the garlic send Arnulf on his way?
No. It is but a comfort they hold on to, hoping that the barbarians who come from the woods, who tear them to the ground to drink their blood, can be abated.
You telling me, Alexios, you've never been dissuaded by having garlic hurled at you?
I mean, it depends on the circumstances.
Yes, it does depend on the circumstances.
You know, sometimes when you're trying to have a friendly negotiation with someone and they throw garlic at you, it tends to throw you off.
Alexios here is also of your bloodline, my dear Mitru.
And I of yours, Myca.
Myca smirks. So you're the group headed to Tehuta Pass.
at the behest of our mutual friend Radu of Beastery.
Intriguing. This conversation with Garlic must be awkward.
Yes, I find it to be irritating. And she says it like in her voice there's a wince. But in her expression, there's a rolled eye at a shared joke that she believes that Myca understands.
Saeed just looks very confused at how garlic could possibly be offensive.
Superstitions have roots sometimes.
If the group of you aren't to be allied with Mitch, a dear friend of mine, why don't I help see to your journey to Beastries? We could travel together. I could offer you comfort in these trying times.
Lex, so he made an offer for us to go to Beastry. Is that on the way to Zuhudapass?
It is. It's
Okay.
actually probably in the next, city you'll really be stopping at on your way there.
Well, Myca Vykos, I would take you up on that offer in a heartbeat. Company along the way would be very welcome. And being able to talk more about perhaps becoming friends with the great and powerful city of Constantinople would be of paramount interest to us. As I understand it, Tehuta Pass is somewhat isolated, and we will need friends to gain aid from somewhere.
I could not agree more. It is only a matter of time before Vienna attempts to work its influences out towards Tehuta Pass. If I could help the group of you be independent of their influence, I believe that it would serve as a mutual victory to all of us.
I think that would as well.
Vienna is unlikely to find allies anywhere we may go.
Haven't you heard? Well, they have a reputation for making allies out of the most dire enemies.
Roland, Cox, and I, do they have new allies I don't know about?
Have you not heard of the gargoyles?
Ugh,
We've heard.
I have heard, yes.
Catrinel lets out a thin little hiss, just for a moment, dropping that illusion of humanity.
Myca soaks in the round of hate for Vienna. Well, I must retire for the evening, and look forward to journeying with a group of you, getting to know you better. I believe that Mitru, as fate should yet again have it, has become a bringer of prosperity to those around him. Mitru kind of furrows his eyebrows and makes a face at that. Well, thank you for joining me in my court this evening. I'm going to return to my watch.
Mitru, might you stay up a little longer with me so we can discuss things about your domain here?
Yes, again.
If we are to be allies, I would prefer it that it were on a basis of mutual benefit. It seems that you are missing a destination to head in. I would like to speak with you about your ambitions.
Ambitions. He says the word like it's very clear it's not a word in his vocabulary. But very well, I would like that.
Considering this conversation to be something that she can turn away from without being too rude, and also simply having just enjoyed making Dario wait this long, Catrinel does turn back over her shoulder to see to the task he requested of her.
He seems to have been having a pretty good time. Just sitting right here next to you. And there is no indication that he even wanted to dissuade you from this course of action.
Well, before I give him advice, I should probably make a roll to find out if that advice works here.
Go ahead and give me an intelligence seneschal roll, and, well, we'll go from there.
I am going to spend a willpower just because I'm not willing for this to go badly after I've talked my shit. I do have 5 seneschal. My spec, I just wrote princess. I don't know if that applies here.
No castle, no princess.
That's fair.
Boom.
I didn't roll super well, but I do have 3 successes.
3 successes is great. You are going to be able to secure provisions needed to make it all the way to Beastries, but you will need to gather more. Now, the big thing that is kind of making this challenging is you guys have a lot of prisoners.
Yeah.
And even if you treat them poorly, it is still a drain on your resources.
Spend my money. It's okay.
I already told you I was going to do that.
We will treat our prisoners very well until we eat them.
Under the pretense of toying with the pouch's closure, Catrinel looks to Dario. Tracing over the edges with her fingernail, she starts running over exactly what her specific instructions are and the details that he needs to adhere to.
He says.
He's not going to remember a thing.
Do not underestimate my men.
Never underestimate the capacity of a man with motivation.
Zorion points a finger at that.
Is there anything else you would like, milady? He kind of tries to move his face, kind of quick to get the eye contact in while he asks.
Let's see how this goes. Impress me?
But of course. He gets up and he bows. And he looks to his compatriots and notices one of his friends glaring at him as he slinks off to accomplish his mission.
Over the course of the rest of the night, Zorion will have conversation with Mitru, truly trying to figure out if the man has kind of a vision for what he wants of his land, and we'll kind of just help him basically just brainstorm on that. He wants to actually kind of know what Mitru wants to accomplish, because it sounds like he is just terrified at all of the threats he has around him and hasn't even had a moment to think.
So when you hang out with him, he keeps an outpost that he sort of watches the city from, and he doesn't really even spend very much time in it himself. And much of the network of beasts that he controls, they kind of keep an eye on things just to monitor the area. And there are men at arms that are loyal to him, and they kind of spend their time outside the city. And it's kind of just this group of trained hunters. The term doesn't even really exist yet, but these are like proto rangers.
Yeah.
And a lot of
gamekeepers.
Yeah. And a lot of what he has in mind for the future of the city is that he basically kind of accepts that he is not a person that really even likes the development of cities. He's not really a person that likes complex intrigues, but he accepts that they're necessary. And all he is trying to do, his bar is very low for success. And basically, all he wants to do is repel Arnulf's forces long enough to get through to Arnulf and convince him that civilization and the progress that humanity is making in this region isn't necessarily the doom that Arnulf sees it as. He basically explains that Arnulf just kind of sees a future where there are only these cities, and there are only these places that are dominated by laws and the rule of man. And while Mitru is quietly afraid of that possibility himself because he's very close to nature and deeply loves nature, he has enough hope for humanity that humanity wouldn't just choke these forests out.
So, through that conversation, Zorion basically kind of just will, being that he is born of a noble family, he has kind of a decent amount of idea of how to actually build a small fief.
Oh, yeah.
And how to manage it and things like that. I mean, he'll even point out, throughout the conversation of the night, he'll mention how, like, truthfully, if you want to know how to actually make sure that it's prosperous and managing, talk to Catrinel, because, like, she knows how to run those numbers.
And I will say that part of what I'm doing here with getting us resupplied, I am also attempting to, like, prove a point. Now, whether or not Mitru sees that point, that could be its own problem. But she's trying to demonstrate that this really is an ability of ours that we can offer in Alliance.
He'll also just kind of mention the fact that there are lands in the West where kings and nobles have declared entire swaths of forest belonging to them, and no one is allowed to poach on those lands. They remain untouched and pristine. So I kind of fill his head with ideas about kingship, basically. Yeah. And like, hey man, it's, slyly building the foundation of, like, giving this man some ammunition to use against his sire eventually.
He does bring up this one thing, though, and he actually explains that during Sherazina's time here, she had been teaching him how to read. And there's actually a few words and a bit of Latin that he has learned, kind of like as a, like, I get education, I understand education is important, and I've tried to kind of, learn stuff. But yeah, he will bring up that during Sherazina's time here, she was teaching him to read.
How was it that you came to meet this Sherazina?
She was someone who was in hiding and sought to conceal herself within the city. As...
Hiding from her brother?
I don't know.
Or Bolsko?
As far as I understand, Sherazina wanted to be someone else altogether. When she came here and the barbarians arrived, she had offered to assist me logistically. And I felt we worked well together. She's an intelligent woman and knowledgeable of many of the things you've described tonight. She has vaguely made reference of in passing, but after repelling barbarians who had come to the city...
Mitru, we've been speaking long enough. Speak plain, my friend. Were the two of you lovers?
No.
Never?
He kind of, like, motions to, like, his monstrous consonants as though, like, what girl would ever find me attractive? Like it kind of like, come on.
Zorion slaps him with a shadow hand across, like, the across the shoulder.
The face.
Slut. Be gone, bitch. But he kind of just slaps him in the shoulder. Please.
I don't know. I said something to her, and I don't even remember what it was, but she left it on. And I don't know why.
Must I ask this question? Do you wish to be lovers?
I don't worry about such things. Well, we were actually...
Must I strike you again? Mitru?
Is there not a protocol that says you cannot do that?
Let us find out. He slaps him in the shoulder.
He fucking laughs. It is not a conversation we ever had, but there is one we did. She asked for me to curse her, to make her a vampire. And I refused. The request was absurd. She was of noble blood from the Zemisi. To become a low clan would be an unkindness to her.
Zorion kind of melts at that sentiment. Becoming a Cainite is an unkindness inherently.
Yes.
If happiness could be found in that, and perhaps it's not an unkindness. I think you were right to deny her the request, but not for the reasons you think.
Well, you are a worldly man. In your experience, do Cainites find happiness?
Mitru, I am not worldly enough to answer that question.
Because you hope there exists one.
I do. I have not seen it, but I hope that it is true.
Path of Night, War of Ages is an actual play Vampire the Masquerade Dark Ages podcast set in the world of darkness. Alexios is played by Tim Davis. Catrinel is played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Roland Roncevaux is played by Rob Muirhead. Sadhbh is played by Erika Webb. Zorion de Iruña is played by Garrett Gabbey. Your storyteller is Lex Lopez. The music used in this episode was Don't Look Back by DaniHaDani and Maya Belsitzman. Path of Night uses the 20th anniversary edition of Vampire the Masquerade Dark Ages with a few limited house rules. Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness are owned by White Wolf and Paradox Interactive. Be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you find your podcast. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show at ko-fi.com/pathofnight. Look for us on social media at Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time, Cainites.
Can I offer you an egg?
That's where you guys went. I went to looking at Saeed for ooh.
No, this specifically in these trying times. It's Danny DeVito with an egg.
And I offer you an egg in these trying times. Now Myca Vykos is played by Danny DeVito in a blonde hair.
Yep.
The narration of him being perfect in every way has not changed.
Nope, not at all.
So anyways, Staj,
I'm Clancy Meatsy. Marvel at my beauty. Comes waddling into the inn and with a bag of Coke and a straw.
An egg in one hand.
Go for it, go for it. Oh, what are you guys doing? You going into Who to Pass?
Why don't I come with you?
Sorry, Lex.
No, I love it.
I got eggs and
Why'd you
cocaine.
flesh craft him? It was funny. It was funny.
Frank, you just threw your dick at him. I'm gonna get weird with it.
I like that the rest of the Always Sunny crew is there.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course they are.
Hardworking guy with like flannel. Like
town
we never worked.
Hey,
out.
dude, what story has any
Mitru, let
rugged
me
guy
tell you
doing his
about a
best
girl
to
I knew
protect
named
everyone
Joanna.
around him ever had the hot girl fall for him? It's crazy. It'll never work.
It'll never work.
There's no stories about that.
Just also, girls hate noble dudes that self-sacrifice and try to like protect people while heroically standing up to impossible odds.
Right?
Like, What?
Who's into that?
No girl would ever like that.
That's a kink no one would admit having.
Well, 6 XP.
The amount of times during those conversations, I'd be like, Roland's here and he hugs this man. Like,